It's 13th of August 2010, and we come to Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 61, Ambalatthika Rahulovada Sutta. Advice to Rahula at Ambalatthika. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. On that occasion, the Venerable Rahula was living at Ambalatthika. Then when it was evening, the Blessed One rose from meditation and went to the Venerable Rahula at Ambalatthika. The Venerable Rahula saw the Blessed One coming in the distance and made a seat ready and set out water for washing the feet. The Blessed One sat down on the seat made ready and washed his feet. The Venerable Rahula paid homage to him and sat down at one side. Stop here for a moment. As you know, Venerable Rahula was the son of the Buddha, and in this sutta, I guess he was still quite young. That's why the Buddha was admonishing him about not telling lies. And you see here the monks during the Buddha's time. When the Buddha comes or the teacher comes, they make ready the seat and set out water for washing the feet. And after the teacher has washed the feet, then they pay homage. Then the Blessed One left a little water in the water vessel and asked the Venerable Rahula, Rahula, do you see this little water left in the water vessel? Yes, Venerable Sir. Even so little, Rahula, is the recluseship of those who are not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie. Then the Blessed One threw away the little water that was left and asked the Venerable Rahula, Rahula, do you see that little water that was thrown away? Yes, Venerable Sir. Even so, Rahula, those who are not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie have thrown away their recluseship. Then the Blessed One turned the water vessel upside down and asked the Venerable Rahula, Rahula, do you see this water vessel turned upside down? Yes, Venerable Sir. Even so, Rahula, those who are not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie have turned their recluseship upside down. Then the Blessed One turned the water vessel right way up again and asked the Venerable Rahula, Rahula, do you see this hollow, empty water vessel? Yes, Venerable Sir. Even so, hollow and empty, Rahula, is the recluseship of those who are not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie. Stop here for a moment. So here you see the Buddha is emphasizing to him through this simile of this empty vessel that if he tells a deliberate lie, his recluseship or monkhood is thrown away like the water and is empty of this monkhood. So the fact that the Buddha can admonish him about telling lies probably shows that he was very young at that time. Then the Buddha continued, suppose, Rahula, there were a royal tusker elephant with tusks as long as chariot poles, full-grown in stature, high-bred and accustomed to battle. In battle, he would perform his tasks with his 4 feet and his hind feet, with his 4 quarters and his hind quarters, with his head and his ears, with his tusks and his tail. Yet he would keep back his trunk. That his rider would think, this royal tusker elephant with tusks as long as chariot poles, etc., performs his tasks in battle with his 4 feet and his hind feet, etc. Yet he keeps back his trunk. He has not given up his life. But when the royal tusker elephant performs his task in battle with his 4 feet and hind feet, with his 4 quarters and his hind quarters, with his head and his ears, with his tusks and his tail, and also with his trunk, then his rider would think, this royal tusker elephant with tusks as long as chariot poles, etc., performs his task in battle with his 4 feet and his hind feet, etc., and also with his trunk. He has given up his life. Now there is nothing this royal tusker elephant would not do. So too, Rahula, when one is not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie, There is no evil, I say, that one would not do. Therefore, Rahula, you should train thus. I will not utter a falsehood even as a joke. Let's stop here for a moment. This simile the Buddha has given about the royal tusker elephant is quite interesting. How this elephant can be trained to the extent that he's willing to give up his life. You notice here, the one who has not yet been trained to that stage, he keeps back his trunk. Why? Because his trunk is the softest part. It's most, it's most, it's most delicate, or it's most, his weakest point is his trunk. So, but when he's willing to even use his trunk in battle, then he's willing to lay down his life. So well has been this elephant has been trained. So the Buddha uses the converse to say that if a person is not ashamed to tell a deliberate lie, then there is no evil. Then he will not do because he's a shameless person. What do you think, Rahula? What is the purpose of a mirror? For the purpose of reflection, Venerable Sir. So too, Rahula, an action with the body should be done after repeated reflection. An action by speech should be done after repeated reflection. An action by mind should be done after repeated reflection. Rahula, when you wish to do an action with the body, you should reflect upon that same bodily action thus. Would this action that I wish to do with the body lead to my own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both? Is it an unwholesome bodily action with painful consequences, with painful results? When you reflect, if you know this action that I wish to do with the body would lead to my own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both, it is an unwholesome bodily action with painful consequences, with painful results, then you definitely should not do such an action with the body. But when you reflect, if you know this action that I wish to do with the body would not lead to my own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both, it is a wholesome bodily action with pleasant consequences, with pleasant results, then you may do such an action with the body. Also, Rahula, while you are doing an action with the body, you should reflect upon that same bodily action thus. Does this action that I am doing with the body lead to my own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both? Is it an unwholesome bodily action with painful consequences, with painful results? When you reflect, if you know this action that I am doing with the body leads to my own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both, it is an unwholesome bodily action with painful consequences, with painful results, then you should suspend such a bodily action. For when you reflect, if you know this action that I am doing with the body does not lead to my own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both, it is a wholesome bodily action with pleasant consequences, with pleasant results, then you may continue in such a bodily action. Also, Rahula, after you have done an action with the body, you should reflect upon that same bodily action thus. Does this action that I have done with the body lead to my own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both? Was it an unwholesome bodily action with painful consequences, with painful results? When you reflect, if you know this action that I have done with the body leads to my own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both, it was an unwholesome bodily action with painful consequences, with painful results, then you should confess such a bodily action, reveal it, and lay it open to the teacher or to your wise companions in the holy life. Having confessed it, revealed it, and laid it open, you should undertake restraint for the future. But when you reflect, if you know this action that I have done with the body does not lead to my own affliction, or to the affliction of others, or to the affliction of both, it was a wholesome bodily action with pleasant consequences, pleasant results. You can abide happy and glad, training day and night in wholesome states. I'll stop here for a moment. So here, the Buddha is saying that bodily action, you should reflect before you do any bodily action. Consider whether it's wholesome or unwholesome. And even while you are doing also, you should reflect. And even after doing, you should also reflect. And so if it is unwholesome, you should not do it or should not have done it. But if it is wholesome, then you can do it and continue doing it. Similarly, for speech and for mental action by the mind. Rahula, whatever recluses and Brahmins in the past purified their bodily action, their verbal action, and their mental action, all did so by repeatedly reflecting thus. Whatever recluses and Brahmins in the future will purify their bodily action, their verbal action, and their mental action, all will do so by repeatedly reflecting thus. Whatever recluses and Brahmins in the present are purifying their bodily action, their verbal action, and their mental action, all are doing so by repeatedly reflecting thus. Therefore, Rahula, we should train thus. We will purify our bodily action, our verbal action, and our mental action by repeatedly reflecting upon them. That is what the Blessed One said. The Venerable Rahula was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. That's the end of the sutta. In the holy life or the spiritual path, when we practice the spiritual path, the very basic, the first thing that we should practice is to be careful of these three karmas through the body, speech and mind. That is a very basic thing. That is the first step. If we cannot cultivate wholesome karma through the body, speech and mind, and avoid unwholesome karma, then this very first step, if we can't do, then we cannot progress at all on the spiritual path. And that is why the Buddha's words are so important. So, like this first part, the Buddha is talking about lying, telling Rahula not to tell any deliberate lie. So this lie comes under verbal karma. So, unfortunately, I have seen some monks, because they don't study the suttas, they don't know such basic things, and they go and practice meditation and put a lot of effort and all that. But I see they cannot progress because it's a very basic step. The first step itself, they don't put effort to reflect on their own bodily karma, verbal karma, and mental karma.